Timberwolves fans, I had a weird idea. I had a weird one. After yesterday's episode, we talked about possibly trading to get Mr. Jimmy Butler back. I mentioned it, and I had the idea. What if we just traded for every single former player back? Singularly, not getting all of them back, that would be mass chaos. Tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. We will trade to get all four of the players. You see right there, right there. We're going to trade to get all four of them at the same time. You're going to have a whole new team. Get used to it. But no, we're going to trade for each of those players, and I'm going to talk about how logically I think each of them fit. Grand scheme of things, it would never happen. You don't really trade for guys back unless they're on the tail end of their career. Looking at you, Kevin Love, that's probably the most logical one. The other three move way too much cap around. Cat's making a sneaky $50 million a year. So shout out us for tanking the entire Knicks plan because I don't know how they're going to continue to afford that. $50 million a year for Karl Anthony Towns is not a pretty sight, especially when Jalen Brunson's your number one guy there. It's great you have a number two in Cat, but he's eating up a lot of that salary. Let's dive right into it, though. We're starting with the Cat one. This one's weird, and this one is the most complex and definitely shifts around the most players. So, to make this money work, things are going to get really, really weird. Let's get into it. We're giving up Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, Leonard Miller. I don't love that. I don't love that at all. After seeing what these guys were for us last season, I just don't think it's worth giving them up again for someone else who's making $50 million. Now, the return side of this, it's not horrible. We're getting Cat back, obviously. We'd get Josh Hart, who's an absolute playmaker. I have a lot of faith in the guy. He's signed for at least 3 more years. He would fit in really nicely with the squad we have now. We're getting a point guard I'm kind of high on in Miles McBride. I think he is a great secondary ball handler guy. I think he could do plenty on the team. Logically, I think he makes a lot of sense. The other two guys on here are just kind of cap fillers, and Tyler Kolek and Ariel Huckporty. Not familiar with him much. I've heard of him. Not familiar with him. I don't know. End of the bench guys. Someone's got to be him. You're looking at those two. Yeah, I wouldn't do this trade if you put a gun to my head. Wouldn't happen. I just don't see it. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense to do. You're giving up way too much to get too little back, but at the same time, you're not. I mean, the projection system I'm using here has us getting more wins than we did last year, and it has them getting 5 less. But I think Rudy would actually slide in really nicely with that roster of Brunson, obviously OG, and then why am I just spacing names? Bridges, Rudy, and then that fifth guy is kind of a question mark because we stole Josh Hart and Karl Anthony Towns. Logically, this one is weird. We'd actually be gaining $1 million on our cap, which is fine, but would we ever do it? I don't know. I don't know how you go to the Knicks and you're like, hey, what if we did a take backseat? But the take backseat actually gives us Josh Hart and Miles McBride as well. I don't think it's happening. I don't know if the take backseat of them is worth it for Rudy, Randall, and Dante. Technically, you're getting Rudy on top too. It makes the Timberwolves look like fools. We better get a couple of those picks back that we gave them, or we better get some picks, more picks from them. We took 2 from them. We didn't give them any picks. What am I talking about? That's kind of my 2 cents on that one. You guys can tell me what you think of it. If you think it's a better trade than I do, let me know. I'm always wrong, I feel like, but let's get into a fun one because if there's one guy every Timberwolves fan wants to see retire a Timberwolf, it's Kevin Love. And right now he is rotting away in Utah. He doesn't want to be there. Utah traded for him for I don't know why. I have no clue why Utah made this trade. So let's get the boy back. Let's get him back in Minnesota. He can retire. Glenn Taylor's gone. You can get your jersey retired immediately after you retire. Wow, that's a lot of times to say retired. But obviously, we're just going to give up Leonard Miller and a couple second round picks because who cares about those? mostly is my thing. Um, Makes the most sense to me just to get rid of Miller and get Love back. Then it is what it is. Not the end of the world. We'll be fine. I want Kevin Love to retire, whether he plays 5 minutes, 10 minutes. He's still got it somewhere in there. He's still the turnaround bucket, versatile guy. Like, he could get some minutes for us. Why not? Absolutely, why not? Ant merch on today. Believe that. Uh, I want Kevin Love to retire Timberwolf, and this seems like the best possible route. Again, if you guys can think of another one, we do have to trade someone to get him back. The cap just works out too weird that why is he still making $4 million? I don't know. I have zero clue. Like, that's probably the veteran minimum for a guy who's been in the league since forever. I have no clue what year Kevin Love came in at this point. I should be able to remember that. I can't recall. But this makes a lot of sense training for Kevin. He could be a great mentor kind of to the younger big guys because he's not going to play a ton. He's basically going to be an assistant coach who suits up for games, a lot like Joe Ingles. We have three of them at this point. Mike Conley, Joe Ingles, Kevin Love. They can kind of just be the assistant coaches because you know what? I don't think Finch is doing that much for the young guys. I don't think they got someone in there who's doing that. Is what it is. Is what it is. The third one. So I don't know if you guys have been following any of the news, but Jimmy Butler today went to the Warriors and said, so what's the plan here? What are you guys thinking for the year? Because they still haven't signed Jonathan Kuminga. They still haven't traded Jonathan Kuminga. Picks and trades offers have been coming there to their doorstep for Jonathan Kuminga. And the Warriors are like, are we done with him? Do we want him? How about you sign him when there's still money to be given out? Now you're going to be sitting here with the roster where Quinn Post is going to be your second big man. I like Quinn Post. Not a great option. Just not. But we'll take Jimmy back. We'll take the cancer back because Jimmy Butler and Anthony Edwards should play before Jimmy Butler's retired. I'm sure you guys all know why they need to play together. But in this trade, what are we getting? We're getting Jimmy Butler, Guy Santos, and Trace Jackson Davis. Yeah, sure, why not? Jimmy's making $54 million. Oof. What are we giving up? Well, the Warriors are finally getting their center in Rudy Gobert, and they're getting some shooting help in Dante DiVincenzo. And just to make the money work, we unfortunately had to give them Mike Conley. Sorry, I know we're probably not going to get rid of Conley, but there's no way to make the money work here without getting rid of a third player, and Conley makes the most sense. I would never do this trade. Jimmy did us so dirty the last time, and you know he would walk this time instead of letting him get traded. I did a trade tree. I tracked down everything we got for that, which technically leads us back to Rudy Gobert. So I guess trading Rudy for Jimmy is like you're your own grandfather paradox in a way. So that's a little weird. Didn't think about that one. No, yeah, I wouldn't touch this trade with a 10-foot pole. Not worth it. Blowing up our entire roster to get a guy who likes the city he's in for about 6 months, and then he's like, I think it's time to leave. I think it's time to go. Obviously, he had a lot of success down in Miami, and they faltered out against Timberwolves last year. Is what it is. You guys lost fair and square. I'm not going to say anything about Curry being out, but the last trade, let's get into it. This is one I would actually like. I miss Wiggins. I'll say it. Obviously, he was not worth the number one overall pick. All said and done, he's a great player. Gonna retire for the Hall of really good. But he wasn't what we needed for a number one pick. He just, like, everything that was promised that he was going to be, it didn't happen. Whether that was the Timberwolves' fault or not for not surrounding him with stuff, I don't know. Like, him and Cat and Levine, like, could have been an all-time great big three, but it just didn't work out. And that happens sometimes in the NBA. Now, each of them have had a ton of success later in their careers separately. Good for them. I miss the boys. I wish we could reassemble them. So let's get Wiggins back. And on top of that, we're getting Davion Mitchell as well. I absolutely love this trade for the Timberwolves. Davion Mitchell should be the point guard of the future. He's only signed there for 2 more years, and the Heat are in a weird spot. so they might be looking to sell some players. And Davion could easily be one of those with a manageable contract. Wiggins, $28 million, staring you dead in the face though, and that's not one that people want to be looking at. End of the day, I'd take it back on, and we could trade Julius Randle here and Dante DiVincenzo. So yeah, you're giving up what you got for Cat, which makes Cat Wiggins' grandfather in a way. Huh, weird again. To trade the two guys you got for a former number one pick, you're getting another former one pick of your. You see what I'm saying here? That's just weird to trade. But Wiggins still got it. He's still got it. He'd be a great off the bench guy for the Timberwolves at this point. Obviously, he's a starter on the Heat, but I think he would be coming off the bench for us behind. He'd probably be the number 2 small forward, I guess, technically. But he would definitely be the 6th man, 7th man at that point. And Davion Mitchell would easily start in the lineup over Conley or Rob. And then he should be the point guard of the future. He creates shots very well. I'm very high on him. If he doesn't pan out, I'm going to look like an idiot. But I think the Heat got an absolute steal on him. And I'm happy to see him grow as a player. And I hope the Timberwolves hear this and they're like, hey, he might be onto something here, and trade for him. Makes sense to me. I would love to see all 4 of these players come back, though. Obviously, not going to happen. I think the Kevin Love one could be the most logical and likely one, just in terms of the cap management. You don't have to give up a ton to get him back. But let me know what you guys think. That's all I've got for you today, and I will see you on the next one.